What's up, guys? What's going on? So we're on another install today, and this isn't the typical food forest. This is more of a grove install, and we are in Central Florida, just south of Lakeland and Mulberry here, and we're on a 10-acre site, and we're putting in 100 fruit trees for a grove. So, you know, this isn't a food forest, like I said. This isn't densely planted. We did try to follow as many permaculture principles as possible. We have nitrogen-fixing plants around every fruit tree. We have diversity, lots of different varieties. But the client didn't want, a big food forest in his backyard. He's got a bunch of golf carts. They play polo out here in the backyard. Max is awesome. That's the homeowner that lives here. And, he wanted to make sure he had really good access through the grove. So he already had a planting in place. There was about maybe 40 trees installed when we got here. Actually, 40 trees installed when I originally did the consultation, and we decided to move those trees into some different positions. So we did some root pruning here for a couple of weeks before we transplanted the trees, and most of those things we transplanted were peaches, pears. I believe there was a couple of what else do we got out there? A couple of apples, even in the original planting. There were some mangoes in the original planting, and that's something I'll point out. They lost some mangoes here this winter, and the homeowner Max really wants to be able to grow mangoes. So what we had done for that, we put an overhead zone of those Synerger pop-ups, or those Synerger overhead sprinklers. I'll show you those over here on the far side. And we hooked those to a Rainbird timer with a wireless controller. So if he's out of town, if he's somewhere and he knows he's gonna have a freeze night, he could kick that low pressure zone on, protect those 16 trees over there in that not supposed to be growing here area. But let's say, we just get those 2 or 3 nights, throughout that entire winter that would have damaged those trees. That's only 2 or 3 nights he'd actually have to turn on that overhead to protect them. So it's not like it's a very wasteful overhead system. It's getting ran like that all the time. I mean, mangoes hate overhead water. It causes anthracnose. So, all these trees are either on bubblers or drip irrigation. The only overhead we have, like I said, is for some freeze protection, and will only be used on a freeze event. So let me show you a little bit of what's growing on here. That is the south end of the site. This is the west end of the site. It's kind of the big open field that's left. This is some Asian lemon bamboo. This also has sunshine mimosa and perennial peanut as that nitrogen fixing ground cover. And we've got all different types of diversity out here in the grove. Everything from grafted loquats, avocados, all different types of mulberries, jujube, Suriname cherry, figs, japoticaba, pomegranates. Like I said, there's lots of diversity out here. There's a couple of lychees, a longan, a sapodilla. Like I had mentioned, some mangoes over here. So, this site's got it growing on. There's some citrus here too. This was up by the house. We actually relocated this up this way. And what we've done now is we have the olives. We have 3 olives as like the entry point. That's going to be the first thing you see when you actually pull into the site. And then this whole north row and the second row in, for the most part, is evergreen trees. That's going to give us a little bit more added wind protection. So out here on the outside of the fence, we have a couple different varieties of bamboo too, and I'll take you over there and show you that. There's a couple of sugar apples here. These are some of the transplanted ones. They look a little bit sad right now. Those are the grafted black Suriname cherry up here at the top. Just a little guy. It's that black Suriname. This is a longan, starfruit. We've kind of put the starfruits in the center of the grove. They definitely don't like wind, so they're getting a little bit more wind protection over here in this area. Some of the mangoes are very small. The bigger ones were actually bought at 7 gallons. So something I'll point out, this whole edible landscaping thing's kind of taking off. It's becoming very hard to find trees. I have to order trees months in advance. So the material that is available is very small. So, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing, the edible movement's growing. Bad thing, I can't find trees. That just means I need to step up my game in the nursery, step up my game all the way around and make sure I have this stuff on hand, because it's becoming harder and harder to find. So this is that overhead zone I was talking about. These are those Synerger wobblers. That's a low pressure zone that runs on 20 PSI. And over here on the north end of the property, we do have a power line above us. You can kind of see that above on the top there. So because of that power line, we put more of a dwarf variety of bamboo. We've got the Alphonse car coming all the way down along the fence, and this will end up building a 20-foot wall over here on that north end, giving a little bit more added protection. So let's show you guys what else is growing on over here, what else we're doing. We had a couple little extras added in. We actually just started cutting a bed around the pool cage here. This is going to be a large pineapple bed kind of coming all the way around. We'll have a couple of bananas and a couple of sugarcane kind of tucked around this corner here for the most protection. You know, this site, you know, is south of me, but we're more central. So, it's potentially even colder than me, or at least as cold. I might be north by, 40 miles and he's further south, but because he's more inland and I'm closer to the Gulf, I definitely get a little bit more of that tropical environment. So there's big jaboticaba, there's all the pineapples that we're putting in, a couple of dwarf Namwa bananas, a couple of sugarcane, and you'll see we put, this was a recycled edging I was able to get my hands on, first time using it, and we use that to make a ring around every single bed. And that's really going to make it a lot easier for the maintenance. Instead of edging all of these beds, you just have to whip up against them. I would get dizzy out here, edging 100 rings, and you're going to get dizzy out here weed eating 100 rings, and there's definitely a bit of maintenance, but this is going to really help. I'm seeing lots of persimmons. I see grumichama, a couple of Cattleya guavas, cherry of the Rio Grande. So like I said, there's lots of diversity out here. I think there's probably 25 different, species of fruit trees, and then multiple varieties within. We've got all different types of grafted loquats. There's the avocados, mulberries. So really cool little grove, neat little setup. Let me show you guys what's going on out here on the outside of the fence. So, we put on every one of these fruit trees, we put azomite, we put biochar, we put organic fertilizer, and we put a little compost. So we did amend the trees as heavily as possible, and then we top dress them in our hardwood mulch and put some nitrogen fixers around them. We're actually going to have a native corridor over here along the fence, right where my trailer's parked. That's going to kind of be the native corridor. So we'll hopefully, get some of those beneficial insects, predatory insects, to really help the system here. It wasn't the proper situation to have that planting inside of the grove here, just not enough room the way the homeowner wanted those rings. So I'll show you some more bamboo that we planted over here. We are on the north end of the property. So this is that Chungi. These were some big 7-gallon varieties. Good morning, Thomas.
Good morning.
Hey, putting some micro drip irrigation in on these. This is a hill that was unmowable. Pretty much, all they do is weed eat it. Probably not the most ideal spot to be planting the bamboo to establish them, but this is what we had to work with. Once this establishes, this is going to give a lot of protection on that north end. I don't know if you all noticed, but there's a lot of drop here. This site is on a real hill. So wind was a big issue, big concern of ours. You can see Tom's has got that micro irrigation running. And that micro zone will run about 30 minutes every day for the first 30 days, then we'll cut it back to every other day, and then by then we should be in the rainy season and we can just shut that down. Bamboo is a grass. It's definitely a heavy feeder. It takes a lot of water, so I do suggest water while you're establishing it. Probably want to even give it some water in the dry season again. In Florida, and that's typically March, April, May, so we just want to keep that in mind. So this is really cool. This is one of my favorite varieties, and you can really see that drop. I mean, it's almost 20-foot drop here. Micro irrigation kicking. We had a couple of Asian lemons that continue the Asian lemon row going on down. And then one of my favorite clumpers right here. This is that old hammy eye. This is a 45-foot clumper with edible shoots. And within 2 years, these will have 10, 12 shoots. They'll be in that 20, 25-foot range. And then within 5 years, they're gonna hit that maximum height of 45 foot and that maximum footprint, which is probably gonna be right around 6 to 8 foot with the old hammy eye. Some varieties get 10 to 12. They're all just a little bit different. So I'm walking down the driveway right now. I'm really heading kind of downhill here. I'm gonna show you guys what the front of this property looks like. So right now I'm on the east side of the property, right out here by the highway. And we have a 35-foot clumper going here along the street, probably one of the most ornamental clumpers there is. This is Graceful Bamboo. Really, really beautiful variety. And you guys hear that? You hear those noises, right? One of the main reasons we plant bamboo is not just a windbreak, but a soundscape. Bamboo, when that wind travels through it, that rustling, that noise it makes, every bamboo creates a different noise and sound. So it's a noise absorption. We're looking to absorb that noise from the cars flying by, you know, hear more of nature, hear more of the plants. So it's definitely pretty loud out here behind me. So, you know, that bamboo is gonna help kind of shut that down a little bit. So there's those Arbequina olives I was talking about. There's a red Japoticaba, a Sabra Japoticaba after that. And like I said, all types of diversity with the fruit trees here. Lots of hardwood mulch, lots of biochar. And this is a grove. And I know I'm gonna get some of those permaculture purist questions, or comments should I say, below in this video. Oh, that's not permaculture. I'm not claiming this is permaculture. I'm claiming this is a grove. I'm claiming I applied as many permaculture principles as possible to this site. But you're right, you know, this is not a permaculture food forest. And not everyone is going to be. I mean, this could be a monoculture of citrus in sand with chemicals. You know, this is definitely much better than what it could have been. So this is multi-species, this is organic, this has nitrogen fixers. So like I said, we've applied as many of those permaculture principles as possible, but it's not a food forest. So something I wanted to point out was tools for the job. You know, this guy right here, this is like having 10 men here on the site. It's a game changer. So if y'all are wondering how long an install like this takes, this took our team of 4 men 2 weeks, 10 days actually, Monday through Friday, 2 weeks in a row. Today's our final day. We'll be out of here by 3 o'clock. So just to give you an idea on how something like, you know, how long something like this takes to install. We installed, you know, like I said, 100 fruit trees, 120 pieces of bamboo, lots of organic matter, 13 zones of irrigation. So there was a lot going on here. There was a lot going in. You can really see that as you look throughout the project. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of this grove we installed. I did not film the entire process. It wasn't very technical. I didn't feel there was a lot to show you, but it was another install we did. It was another grove that went in. It's another 100 fruit trees in the ground, so I figured it was worth making a video. So I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, and if you haven't pounded that bell yet, pound it.